Hello there and welcome to a video on the map Nexus. This is all about trying to get Nexus into a position where it's ready for the World Championship 2019, the huge tournament at the end of this year. In fact, the largest tournament in our community's history. This tournament is run by Relic, funded by Sega, and I myself am an advisor to the tournament, acting based on my experience in GCS, GCS2, etc. There isn't enough variety in the tournament maps. We've got Crossroads, Fame and Ville Approach. They're the two best maps, which you'll see in the prime positions from Game 3 onwards in a best-of-5 series in the upcoming tournament. But we need more variety in those earlier games of a series. Something to give the fans a new battleground to watch. Obviously, a large focus is on the fans. White Flash Reborn is the maker of this map. You'll remember him from maps such as Crossroads. And he's working on this map right now to try and get it into a position where it's ready for the upcoming tournament. So without further ado, for those that don't know it, Nexus, as it looks in 1v1, has a very interesting territory overview. It's very similar to Crossroads, if you remember. However, it's got this unique property where it's got a cutoff for the munitions points only. And it's all about symmetry. It has both rotational symmetry, horizontal symmetry, and vertical symmetry, which I find especially pleasing. Now, the one big criticism I have of this map, and I sat with White Flash a lot last night, is of the flow of the map. I don't think it's working right now as it stands in auto match with regards to flow. So, we've looked at it, and we've decided, well, White Flash has decided, based on the conversation we had, to alter the flow of the map. So you'll see in the south, this is how the south has changed. The south area we're going to call the industrial area. Well, that's all an industrial map. The theme of the map, by the way, is like a railway. Industrial area under construction receives heavy bombardment, leaves you with Nexus. So the south encampment would be a better reason, because it is very much an encampment now. You'll see that it has more structure to the walls. That's the aesthetic. What's the purpose of it? Well, it's to give equal chance to west and east in terms of getting into the map. So this is the line of sight tool. Shows you that you can get into things a little bit more easily from this area without being, punished by MGs. But I suppose it's more about giving opportunity to flank MGs also. So this is what this is all about here. This assembly, we're going to call this an assembly, is all about giving you a channel. If you're the eastern player and somebody's set up down here, you've got flanking opportunity to get around the side. This house is a bit of a trap house. You think it's going to be strong, but to be honest, you can get Molotov or incendiary grenaded over the wall. And but this area now has been opened up because, quite frankly, it was never being used. And the reason we felt it was never being used was you felt too exposed here. The walls were you're penned in. So now if it's opened up a little bit, people might want to set up. You cannot get around this wall here. It's next to the map boundary. Now, if we move north, let's take this line of sight tool off. This is old Nexus. We'll stick with old Nexus. You can see here how it was uneven with regards to the chances to use these walls to get around any ability here. And this is just a bit messy. Now, if you'll notice, it looks a lot less messy, so the flow may be better. White Flash, by his own admission, says whenever you try and make a map with built-up structures, everybody just wants an open map. It's almost as though players and players in particular just want a 2D plane. Well, a map has to have character, it has to have flow to it, and that's what the balance has to be struck. So we've gone from this to this in the south, which should make the south a more attractive proposition. Now the center is different. Let's start with what it looks like now. What it looks like possibly. You'll notice a declutterization, taking away these steel girders. That is to allow AT guns not to collide with the terrain. However, also we're keeping, well, White Flash rather, is keeping this concrete assembly here and here, just to add some structure to the center, but without causing issues. So basically, the bane of mapmaker's life in Company Heroes 2 is high caliber weapons with terrain features. That's why there's barely any elevation in the map whatsoever. It's meant to be the perfect competitive map. We just have to help White Flash get it there. So the point in removing a lot of the clutter and then making these points a little bit more pronounced is to make it more obvious as to what AT guns are going to collide with. If I'm going to keep using the line of sight tool. I think that's really useful. You notice that this is a line of sight blocker, heavy crush bushes, and then these are concrete. So that's always going to be there. The old version of the map, I think, is a lot uglier due to the clutter, in my opinion. Is the trees are sight blockers. Well, actually, yeah, there's 2 sight blocking trees only, and the other 2 are for show. So that's been brought in in combination with the concrete, which blocks. Oh, that's nice. I've never actually used world builder before. And so yeah, so that now definitely blocks your AT gun shots, and it also is a sight blocker. See that? But that is now more obvious to the player as to how it works. Now in the north, not as much has changed at this point. We'll stick with the old version. It's mostly around here and here. This house has been decreased in health. I don't know how to show that, unfortunately. And also, it's been opened up as to how you flank around the side, which I think will make it a little bit more easier for the players to understand. The whole point of this wall, by the way, is to benefit both players in terms of flanking around this area. So if an MG is set up here, or possibly here, I mean, that house again is it's a trap in my opinion. You can flank around it using the wall. That's the whole premise. And it also divides the map up. Now, that's an overview of the changes to the map and how the map stands. I am now going to talk about my opinion on the map and the problems with the flow. And I think to talk about Crossroads, which we've all gotten bored of because we see it that damn much, but the reason we see it that damn much is because the top level players love it because they know it's balanced. They know they get a fair shake on Crossroads. It does give great games, it's just that we've seen so much of it. So let's think of this map a little bit more like Crossroads. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate the camera until it's the crossroads of the map. So just to show you what I mean, just so you can visualize it. We all know that White Flash basically tried to recreate the beloved map. There it is. It's Crossroads now. And that's how we're going to view it. So this is the new version, isn't it? Yep, got those bushes on that concrete assembly and that wall there. You can tell it's the new version. And let's do the same to the other one. Well, make sure we've got that. There we go. This is where my criticism comes in. I think that this area is too imminent to the base sectors. You go out of your base, immediately you're in this huge fight, and in Crossroads, if you remember, there's a huge spine bush going up to meet it there. And then there's the big house fixture here, and it kind of divides it up a little bit. In fact, to give it a fair shake, we might as well rotate our cameras this way. So we're now going at a 45-degree angle to where Crossroads would be. I think that gives it a fairer representation because there's your base and there's the enemy base. There we go. So what I'm saying in terms of flow as to why it's not feeling quite right at the moment, I feel it's too imminent. You come out of your base and you're in the fight over here. You can set up over here, but that takes you out of this fight. You can set up here. It takes you out of the fight. The fight is pretty much always down this X pattern here. Now, the good news is White Flash has removed a lot of these steel superstructures. It does remove some of the character of the map, but it's a sacrifice he's willing to take. Now, that is just going to mean you come out of your base, you're in a fight. And what we have to think of as coming here as fans, is that too soon? Is it too imminent? Is this map now just a 3-lane map with a huge scrap in the center? In my suggestion, possibly, and I'm willing to hear your suggestions, so I might, if you want to pause this YouTube video at any point, my suggestion is we should probably, or White Flash rather, should build up these 2 sections a little bit more with a few more bushes and declutterize the other bushes, so remove these ones, this one and this one, build these up and make them little islands of activity. So maybe bushes on the other side too, although that would remove the green cover engagement, or possibly build up the length of the bushes. So bush here, bush there. Maybe on the other side of the train track, perhaps. So train track, bush there, train track, bush there. Declutterize this, aka remove it. Then the center would be split. So that's the old version, just so you can visualize it. I don't think we're ever going to see this again, so I will keep with the newer version. And the whole point in splitting the center a little bit more is so you come out, and yes, you are in a battle. However, there's very obvious impediments to the battle that are part of the map, aka these two islands, we'll call them. And I think that would split up the center and give it a little bit more flow and give the battle a little bit more variety. Let's face it, although we kind of do want a 2D plane at times as competitive players and casters and fans, that's not going to make for a very interesting battle. If we look at the north side, I do quite like how that flow works now. That's like split up, it's ready for flanking. And I just think if we declutterize some of these objects, build up these two islands a little bit, I think Nexus would be a pretty appetizing battlefield. Let me know what you think in the comments. We'll return to the default view now. And yeah, let me know what you think. I am just going to spend a little bit of time visualizing now. Player coming onto a battlefield, just show you the line of sight tool, show you what units do coming onto the battlefield. Visualize it. That's left entrance to south. Let's do right entrance to south. Let's do also using this flanking route over the corridor. Let's do north side. So to help you visualize it and remember what it is like to play this map. And that's meant to be a flanking route, but out. From north, although this is a little bit. And of course, there are these routes up here, there, same up here. But we're never gonna really see people fight up there. And then same down south, they did miss that and flank around this southern tip. I wonder what he's doing. Double check that. That'll be on. Yeah, is that a few? I don't know. Well, I did practice a little bit with this, having never used it before, and I've clearly now broken it. So, without further ado, on that bombshell, after breaking everything, I think I'll just leave it to you guys in chat to give me your feedback. But my suggestion previously to White Flash was possibly swap. I think he's done it. I think that's now a victory. But yeah, he's done it. Sorry, he has done it. Another big change, by the way, in terms of territory layouts that I neglected to mention, by the way, is the victory points now are here, and obviously there. I didn't notice that because I'd only loaded into World Builder, and it's not as obvious as one would think. And this is now the fuel point, and this is now the fuel point. And in my opinion, that could help the flow tremendously. That could really shake things up, and I'm very eager to see that. Oh, one thing that's going to cause an issue though for White Flash is if this wall gets crushed, it's so easy to then hold these two victory points. They're going to be within a hair's breadth of each other. Is that so different to Crossroads though? You have to ask yourself. I think that needs to be looked at. Maybe have not uncrushable, only heavy crush bushes on the other side of this wall to stop that happening. I think that would keep that from happening. So I'll make a note for White Flash. That's an immediate piece of feedback that we can give. Make sure that these two victory points aren't so close together that you can just crush this with a medium tank, set up an MG, or emplacements as Brits, and then have the happiest time of your life. We're going to have to put some heavy crush bushes there, I believe. But yeah, that's the map. I'm sorry this is such a technical and boring video for a lot of you, but I will put a disclaimer in the title. So if you've made it this far and you're complaining, you shouldn't have made it this far. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.